Oh, that's real good.
Hello everyone, and welcome to our channel Penny Lesson. We talk about everything finance, from tips on making money and proper investing to news about the different economies and situations affecting the global markets. The goal of this channel is not only to teach you how to be more financially responsible but also to teach you how to be more aware of global events. So why not just sit back and relax while we tell you what's happening in the finance sphere? Be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell to be constantly updated on my latest videos. Remember, one penny lesson a day keeps being penny less away. Is it better to be born into a large cohort with many people your age or a minor affiliate with few? Economic theory favors a small fellow. Less competition for jobs, housing, social programs, good schools, and natural resources. What about baby boomers? Despite the population explosion, they are rich. Lord David Willits argues that in a democratic system, a larger cohort is preferable. This is because it gives that group more voting power on generational issues and market sway. Boomers voted for pro-boomer policies when young. Free or low-cost college, family support, and social welfare. When they reached their careers' peaks, their voting changed. This large block of voters favored lower income taxes, less business regulation, domestic industry protections to avoid outsourcing and global competition, and zoning laws protecting their home values. The push towards suburbs with mandated single-family building requirements meant that houses got bigger and suitable location got more desirable. In the 1950s, building houses was the main cost. Cars costing more than houses wasn't unreasonable. 50 years later, houses are both homes and investments. In old age, boomers are voting to support retirement benefits, pension schemes, medical infrastructure, and wealth taxes, even if it means sacrificing projects that served them well in their youth. David Willits' work focused on the UK, and some people vote for the greater good rather than narrow self-interest. This trend has been evident in most advanced economies over the past half-century. In Australia, the 2019 federal election was decided by a policy to reduce the tax effectiveness of retirement accounts. Older Australian voters helped the party that favored keeping the favourable tax structure win. The opposition party backed down their plan to change retirement account taxes and won another election. A 2017 British election study found that Conservative votes have shifted from rich and working class to young and old. Favourable government policy can help build wealth. Imagine if Millenials had free college or secondary schooling. This is the difference. Many young people need to put a deposit on a house, and that's the next big issue. David Willits' small cohort argument omits or downplays a key baby boomer advantage. No, they didn't buy cheap houses. It helped, but it's a symptom of a bigger problem. They dominated voting and had no competition. In the 1950s and 1960s, the world population was a third of what it is today, and if you were a white male in the countries we focus on, your competition was considerably less severe. This added all the earlier trade-offs. Domestic responsibilities were usually handled, lowering household spending on daycare, food, and maintenance. Higher relative incomes and reduced outgoings meant properties might be paid off in 1 year. Yes, they faced higher interest rates, notably in the 1970s and 1980s, but it doesn't matter as much today. 1985's median home cost $82,000. That's median, so 50% of first-time buyers' homes would be cheaper, but let's go with $82,000. $82,000 becomes $103,000 when adjusted for median household income. The average mortgage rate was 15% or $15,000 per year. In specific years it was higher, but most borrowers were fixed at a worst-case 15%. The median property costs $430,000, and interest payments averaged $21,500 annually. Again, adjusted for median wages, these seem comparable. Maybe young people shouldn't whine about housing costs. Many people dismiss this comparison because inflation was rampant then, but that's not true. Inflation was 3.5% in 1985 and 13.5% in 1980. However, this was CPI inflation, not housing inflation. In these decades, home prices climbed slowly. Everything else got pricey. Today, house price rise outpaces inflation, but in the 1970s and 1980s, it didn't. If the inflation argument isn't valid, is it fair to criticize how simple it was for baby boomers to buy a home? No, for two other reasons. Unexpectedly, high interest rates helped. Saving for a 10% interest deposit accelerates this objective. Higher interest rates kept home prices from rising too much since mortgage payments became expensive. In our last example, we only looked at the interest paid, but you must also pay back the principal with a mortgage. The principal on a $430,000 mortgage over 30 years will cost $14,300 per year, bringing the total annual payment to under $36,000. The 1985 house would have a principal refund of around $3,000 a year, bringing total compensation to just over $18,000 a year, half of what the 2022 buyers would pay despite 3 times higher interest rates. If repayments were kept similar, a 1985 home buyer could pay it off in 5 years instead of 30. Why do I prioritize housing? Despite being important, dwellings are unproductive. Real estate is a unique asset since it produces nothing. A house on land can appreciate and give a residence or rental income, but it makes nothing. Some investments like cryptocurrency don't produce value, but their market is minuscule compared to real estate, insignificant and minor. Suppose Bitcoin reaches $1 million, then it will have minimal knock-on effects in other markets when individuals cash out to buy what crypto billionaires buy, but it won't put anyone out of work. Housing affordability can hamper economic growth. Every economy in the world revolves around huge economic hubs or cities. If real estate in these places gets too expensive, workers won't be able to work there because more of their income will go to rent. Rising wages can offset this in the near run, but these centers only enrich their landlords. Landlords' property money is unlikely to be reinvested in company expansion or spent on ordinary consumer expenditure. It will likely be spent on more property, driving market values and diverting money from productive centers to unproductive assets. Housing costs hinder social and geographic mobility. 52% of 18-28-year-old Americans live with their parents, according to Pew Research. After 2 years of record high house price rise, this number may be higher. They're financially tied to their parents' homes. If offered a great job in another city, they'd have to weigh the wage increase against the cost of living alone. If they don't, they miss out on a decent job, and the company loses a productive employee. Wealth concentration can substantially impact entire economies, and these effects will only worsen as people age. Japan is a good example. They don't have the same housing issues as the West. Does this matter long term? People die, and their money goes to their offspring or another recipient. At worst, wealth concentration in a single generation is temporary. I made a movie regarding the baby boomers' wealth transfer last year. In that film, we learned that much wealth comes from private family enterprises. Often, these small enterprises need the owner to maintain operations, and the people who would inherit them are unwilling or unable to run them. Losing small enterprises would be disastrous for the economy. Inherited businesses can be sold to those with the skills and drive to operate them. Maybe they'll sell them to inheritance-rich buyers. The problem is who gets this money. Most people don't take money from their parents' deaths until they are old, nearing the end of their careers or retirement. If they inherit the money, they'll use it for retirement and give it to their elderly children. Younger individuals will have less opportunity to buy a house, find a solid career, and start a family, all of which are necessary for a healthy economy. Look at economies where this hasn't happened. China, the world's second-largest economy, is an example. Locals nickname their baby boomers the lost generation since they worked in a dysfunctional economy. They were too old to profit from economic growth decades after it began. They did not enjoy the same economic prosperity as their Western neighbors, although being a significant portion of the population. Boomers enjoyed economic wealth beyond their control. The final part of the 20th century was pretty quiet. The world opened up to international trade, and inexpensive fossil fuels fueled the expansion. People made fortune, which is the final component of this puzzle. Multimillionaires and billionaires rarely become poor again. This generation's billionaires will distort these numbers. The average member is a millionaire in a group with 1 billionaire and 999 broke people. Most billionaires are old. Thus their generational wealth will be significant. Let's look at billionaires by age in China, where voting isn't traditional. Wealth comes from robust economic conditions, not from bending public policy to your liking. It can't hurt though. Wow, was that news? Why not ponder it? Want to know the latest? Comment if you want more articles like this. This video is just one of many videos on my channel that brings you the latest news about the world of global finance and economics. So go hit that subscribe button if you don't miss out on content like these. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Thank you for all your support, and I'll see you again next time. Remember, 1 penny lesson a day keeps being penny less away. Cheers.